All right, tonight we are going to December 14th, 1962. This is a Friday. We're going to the Canadian Imperial Bank. As you saw on Google Earth, it is no longer there. It is now an IKEA, you know?
You know, I heard their Swedish meatballs are really good, but I've never had them.
I mean, they're Swedish meatballs. Nothing.
I've never had Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
Yeah.
Have you made them?
No, but somebody brought them to your party last year.
It's a Friday. It's 11:02 a.m. This is payday. Everyone's getting paid today, and this bank, the Canadian Imperial Bank, is a, quote, hold-up man's dream, end quote. That is what the paper said before this event even happened. As I said, one more time, we're going December 14th, 1962. The manager of the bank, Robert Zavitz Holmes, says the following, and you can tell me what you guys think if this is if it's a hold-up man's dream or not. He said the following before this even happened, quote, I feel we are about due for another robbery, end quote.
I mean,
The great thing about this specific bank location for a robber, if you look at it right here, you see it is right off the four-way highway. This four-way highway, it was there in 1962. Not only that, but you have different exchanges. You have I-40 here, and you just have a lot of places you can get away. So you have like the
isn't that the Motel 6 slang? I mean,
Expedia? Want to get away? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
No, Motel 6 is, I think, don't worry, your wife will never find out. and we give discounts to politicians.
Motel 6 diseases you're sure to get while staying here?
Listen, I think I told you my story about Motel 6, haven't I?
I don't think so. I've
How,
never
like,
stayed at a Motel 6.
growing up when we were driving to Florida, like because of the marketing, that's all I wanted to stay at. I like begged my parents. I was like, can we please stay at a Motel 6? Like it looks like
You're
so much
thinking
fun.
that it's like Disney World.
Yeah,
for
the
hotels.
commercials made it look great.
The pool.
I was 10, by the way, so like I didn't know, and they were like, no. And I was like, why not? And then I finally, when I went to California to visit my friend Kristen, and I stayed at a Motel 6, and I like, slept with the lights on because of the part of California I was in. Like,
I would not have stayed there.
it was a last minute thing. I was supposed to go the next day, and I was able to get a flight the night of, and so I had to find lodging.
Before this happened, the bank in this year, 1962, has already had 3 robberies.
3 in a year?
3 in a year. Okay.
You
lot.
would think they just wouldn't keep a lot of money on hand in that bank.
Or at
You would
least-
think they would just close the bank.
Yeah, like up security.
But they've also
Turn it into like a McDonald's or an IKEA.
well, it's closed down now, so
Well, they
probably
should have done
why.
this in 1962.
Yeah.
But there have been 400 false alarms since the beginning of 1962.
What?
So false alarms. So
That's more than one a day.
so you'll see, like in this story, obviously, where this guy is going to be kind of a robbery, right?
Maybe.
But
Or a false alarm.
the cops don't rush to get there. And in fact, 2 hours earlier, the cops just left because there was an alarm set off.
Man, if I was a cop, like I can understand that. I'd be like, shit, I just left there. But why didn't they have anyone posted at that bank then if you're the police? And it's
I don't know.
like if you know it's a hot spot, then why wouldn't you have someone posted there?
There were
Or
3
in the parking lot.
Yeah, no, because you'll see they can afford a cop there, as you'll see why. 3 robberies already in 1962. The first one was in June. The robber got away with $24,000. The second one was in October. That robber got away with $3,500. And the third, well, that brings us back to December 14th, 1962. It's a Friday. It's 11:02 a.m. in the morning. It's a payday. And Garland Sheridan, he is an old guy, but he's just a random name in the story, but he's kind of how we're going to tell this story through.
Okay.
He goes into the bank and he pulls out his check. It's payday and it's Christmas. He's got a lot of gifts to buy. So he pulls out of his money. There's quite a few people in the bank, obviously, just like it would be nowadays, right, for Christmas. He's looking down. He's kind of like, you know, how you count your money.
Like texting? Oh, I thought you were...
Texting.
I was going to be like, it's 1962.
It's 62.
Maybe he's a sunglasses time traveler. Also,
Oh,
spoiler
maybe.
alert, the other 2 robberies were me. I was setting myself up
There you go.
for the future.
This man wanted to buy some perfume for his wife. wife some Paris perfume.
Ooh.
And so he pulled out his money. He also wanted to buy the following. He wanted to buy for his kids a pair of kids' gloves and some toys. He just had twins. If you've had these toys, I'm not going to make fun of you, but a chatty talking doll.
Chatty Cathy.
Chatty Cathy talking doll.
Well, these are toys from the 60s.
Yeah. And an easy bake oven.
Oh, I had an easy bake oven.
Why would you?
You're old. Oh, shit.
First of all,
Okay, sensitive topic. I have a birthday this week.
legit
Asshole.
asshole.
So,
I bet you had two, Jen.
I never had an easy bake oven, actually. My
I mean,
sister
it's
got
interesting.
one.
They, you know,
I always wanted one.
make
My
donuts
sister
and
got
brownies out of a light bulb. Like that's the cooking mechanism.
Why don't you just use the real oven? I'm so confused.
Because you're
It's
a
little
child.
dangerous for a child, but yeah, you should just work with a parent, ask a parent, make some homemade baked donuts, and call it a day.
This man who went there to get money to buy his wife some Paris perfume. The report said Paris perfume, but I'm thinking what they meant is that the new Paris Hilton perfume, which is available at Sears. This guy, Garland Sheridan, he's buying this perfume for his wife because he's trying to get the puss tonight. And he turned to leave and somebody bumps into him and says, El pardon, like pardon, but in French. Yeah, pardon.
I don't think they use L, but that's
No, that is not
Sorry.
French.
La pardon.
I think it's lay. Yeah.
Lay.
He walks out, somebody bumps into him. He says pardon in French and they almost collide. Now, this is on the way out of the door. He kind of looks back. Now, he's not fully outside the bank yet. He's going out of the bank. He kind of looks back and he notices that this man was wearing a Santa costume, a tailored Santa costume.
Oh, that's got to be expensive. Like, well, I guess back then the quality was a bit better on items because it wasn't being mass produced.
Made in TikTok? I meant China? Yeah. Okay. No, I'm telling you, you know what is a really crappily made product is
What?
anything American. We make shitty products over here.
Like
we make
the ones
terrible.
that we make in the States or the ones that we
in
have
the
them
States.
produce outside.
I would never buy an American car ever. I mean, you had an American car. What?
I've had an American car.
Volvo.
No, my Chrysler. I had a PT Cruiser, remember? It was orange. The cheese doodle. Go ahead and judge me. It was my grandmother's car.
This Santa Claus was wearing a tailored costume. It was fit to him. He was kind of a skinny guy, but 5'7", 5'8", and it fit to him perfectly. He's not a fat guy and no beard or anything. You could see his facial features perfectly. He had the Santa hat on and very expensive sunglasses.
So it was bad Santa.
Sheridan said Reen, which means
Renee?
Reen, Jen, El Reen, which means in France, it's nothing. Like, don't worry about it. What is that? Listen, puta. Something really struck this guy as odd. You remember, he's counting his money. Oh, yeah. Counting his money. Bumps into Santa. Okay, there's other people wearing Santa shit, whatever.
But a full suit?
But then he kind of looks over. And you remember, he's not outside the bank yet. He looks over and he sees something odd about Santa. Santa is carrying a sack, which is empty. Okay.
About to be filled with money.
And in his other hand was a semi-automatic rifle.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What is he doing with that rifle, Santa? What are you gonna do? Like, is that your discipline tool for blitzing? Like, run faster.
Garland, who was just leaving, is pushed back into the bank. Not from Santa. Santa's in front of him. He has I say semi-automatic rifle. That's a sort of nuke term. This is a submachine gun. It's actually a Belgium submachine gun, which I'm going to show you exactly the thing. It's pretty cool. I really want one. 2 elves push this man back in. Santa has a rifle. The elves, they have smaller weapons, a pistol, and a regular rifle. I believe a shotgun. I'm not sure. 2 elves, 1 Santa. They rush into the bank. It's 11:02 a.m. What do you guys think of that?
I think that it would have been a better disguise if he had like pillows in his Santa suit and maybe a beard.
At this point, Santa walks in, and everything I'm about to say is verbatim from what witnesses and hostages had said. He walks into the bank and he says the following.
Can you imagine the 3 of us trying to rob a bank?
Only for comedic purposes.
Santa walks in and he says the following, quote, "This is a Ho Holdup.
Oh, dang.
Everyone get on the fucking floor. Ha! Ho, 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 motherfucker. Ho, ho, ho. Ha!
Luna is freaking
Luna
the
does
fuck
not
out
like
right
this.
now. I know. It's okay, Luna. It's okay.
He says, this is a Ho Holdup.
That's clever.
That's the title.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I like it.
This is a Ho Holdup. Hells yeah.
I don't usually root for the villains, but I mean, like,
you gotta respect somebody that comes up with their own tagline. So
Yeah. So
I wonder how long he thought on that.
I mean, I feel like he like thought of it and then thought of the crime and was like, I need to use this in real life. What can I use this for?
now keep in mind, this Santa had a tailored Santa suit, tailored to fit him, exactly to fit his frame, which is not a very good move because now they're going to be looking for a tailor. They're going to go to every tailor and see who.
Did you help a man with a Santa suit?
At this point, you have Santa and two elves in the bank. Now, this is in broad daylight, 11:02 a.m.
I want John to grow a beard like that.
I think John has a problem with growing like serious facial hair, which is fine.
Wow, that's very emasculating. Thank you.
No.
Ho, hold up. It's Santa robbing the bank. He's got an empty sack. And after we finish this episode, we're just going to go right into it. But I got a list of all the porn titles made for Christmas. There's like, Jizz the Season is a good one, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about all of them.
Why?
And we're going to rate them. And there's one that I came up with, I'll say it now, Santa's Sack, that's not on the list. It has not been made. And I think that's brilliant. Santa's Sack. Santa's Coming is already one. So is A White Christmas.
How about Up the Chimney? Is Up the Chimney one or Down the Chimney?
But stay tuned if you're a pervert and want to hear us talk about porno Santa.
From Maclean's June 1st, 1963, the first man inside the bank wearing a hood and brandishing a carbine shouted in English, "Ho, ho, hold up. Everyone lie on the floor, face down." He posted himself outside the manager's office. A second hooded man turned left, went behind the counter, and headed for the teller's cages. Then in swaggered Santa Claus, wearing sunglasses, pacing up and down the middle of the bank, shouting threats and obscenities, and waving an FN 308 semi-automatic rifle.
Dang.
Yeah, pretty crazy, eh? All right, let's look at this rifle. It's pretty sick. But
Was it decked out like a candy cane?
yeah, Jen, it was. Very good. Decked out like a candy cane. I'm just kidding. Here's the bank. Here is the inside of the bank so you guys can see.
Oh, from that day?
Yeah, from that. Well, I don't know if it's from that day, but that's the inside of the
They
bank.
have a Charlie Brown tree. Look at that
sparse.
tree. I do have to say, again, I am so thankful for you guys for coming to help.
Of course.
Especially with my tree, John. Thank you.
I wasn't really too happy about helping, honestly.
I know you weren't.
Because you had to do the same thing with ours.
I promise that I will try to make sure that next year that is not an issue.
Just cut out all the netting. That was the issue.
I thought I got most of it and I didn't think that it was an issue. But now I understand. However, I will say that the tree that I got was a fantastic tree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is the gun right here. Pretty sick, eh? If I was going to rob a bank, it'd probably be with this. This is a Belgian FNFAL. Pretty sick gun.
Look at that. The cartridge holder. I don't know what to call it. I don't know guns.
Is it a printer or?
No, the part where
This
like
is a
it's
3D
like
printed gun, yeah. Very good, Jen.
from the 60s.
At least you're awake.
I mean, like I'll take that because there were some times when my eyes closed, but I'm listening.
All right, here we go.
You can't do that on the YouTube.
I don't mean to. It's not like I do it intentionally. It's like I'm trying.
Like we put you to sleep.
A Belgian FN
It's
308
alcohol.
semi-automatic rifle seized. That's the rifle right there. There's the actual news photo of it. So they did get the rifle, but he probably just dumped it, right?
Right. No.
Yeah.
No. What did he do with it?
Dude, I don't know. Why don't we just listen in? All right.
Well, you sound like you're making a sarcastic statement.
In one hand, Santa carried his empty sack. In the other hand, he carried a semi-automatic submachine gun rifle. There was also two elves behind Santa. And as Nicole read, he said, "Ho, ho, hold up. Everyone hit the floor." The next one you're going to read is about the guy that actually sold the rifle. This is for people that, wonder why this guy has a freaking fully automatic rifle anyway. If you want to read the next one. This is the actual pawn shop guy or whatever.
You stand there and tell me people come here to buy a carbine or an FN rifle. I might as well call them submachine guns. To go hunting, claimed one investigator to the gun shop proprietor. It's legal, shrugged the latter. I don't tell them how they should hunt. In this store, an FN rifle, a Belgian design selected by Canada and other Western nations as the deadliest hand weapon for killing enemy soldiers, sells for $175.
Here's what really happened. Like when we go to war, World War II, we make all these weapons, and then countries, or one guy like Nicolas Cage in that movie Lord of War, he sells the guns
when they're no longer being used.
Yeah, we don't just burn all the guns, so they end up in people's hands, and that's why he had that gun. And it's a very powerful gun, as you're gonna see. It's a fully automatic rifle. That's what it is.
And it's the whole point of that movie. It's not. It's like cheaper to dump the weapons. At the end of a conflict than to buy new ones.
Santa Claus, he goes to the first register and he's shooting in the air because he's got plenty of bullets. He tries to rip open the register. The teller's like, ah!
Magazine. That's the word I was looking for.
Nailed it.
He tries the first one, the register, pulls it open, $2,600, puts it deep in his big sack. The next register, he tries to rip it open, but it's locked. The teller actually went out to get sandwiches for lunch, so he locked his register. The next was also locked. So now Santa's pissed. He wants his effing money, okay?
Yeah,
Santa
his
Claus.
money.
He says, who is the bank manager? Who is the bank manager? And this man, Holmes, the one that we read earlier, he's Robert Holmes. He's the bank manager, and he says, it's me. And this is what Santa says to him. Do you want to fucking live? Yes, I do, replied the manager. I'm fed up fucking around with these tellers. Go back into the vault. Get going. I know there's plenty of money around here. It's payday. So Holmes at this point calls over the chief teller, Robert Winsart, because at this point, he's got to get both guys to input the code for the bank, because it's one of those where I have one half of the code, you have the other, and then that's how we open the vault.
I feel like he probably should have waited until the next day, because he went in the morning on payday. Not everyone has deposited their check yet, so you should probably go the day after payday.
This is the bank vault right here. So you see kind of this is the front of it. They walk in the front door. Everyone get on the ground, kind of set up just like a regular bank. Vault's right here. Boom. Which they spell it wrong. Voute.
Well, that's French.
Yeah, but it should be an American. It's not.
They are not in America.
They put in the combination. The vault opens.
I just want you to know there is a drinking game going on.
What?
I want to know about this drinking game.
It's every time John mispronounces something.
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
I love
so
that.
you said voot.
That's fucked up.
You said voot.
That's what Shram said. What the fuck?
She was calling it out so that everybody else would drink.
That's bullshit. Y'all are gonna get fucking wasted. And
now he's gonna do it on purpose. Oh shit.
no, I'm not.
I'll play the game. I'll play the game.
I'm just a dirty hick. So they get to the vault and they open the vault. The Santa sack was then filled with $142,966. Now this is in 1962, so
Wow.
that's probably worth about $700,000. Cash, bonds, and traveler's checks. Now the only thing they can use is the cash. They can't use government bonds, and traveler's checks are out too. So they still got a pretty big haul. Now at this point, a junior teller named Madeline Laframbosi hits the silent alarm.
From the Globe and Mail at the vault, Mr. Wishart noticed Santa's tan skin and dark eyes, and how his face was long, the fake beard riding up his bottom lip. When Santa wasn't looking, Mr. Wishart surreptitiously pressed the silent alarm. Lying on the floor, the customer, Mr. Sheridan, an engineer, looked down at his watch. It was 11:12 a.m. When another patron in the bank lifted their head up, Santa warned that anyone who did that again would be killed. And so Mr. Sheridan lay still and stared at his watch, noticing the time.
All right, so we went in the bank at 11:02. So now it's 11:12. Everyone is on the effing floor. The police aren't even there yet. The only cops that showed up were the ones that were just in the area. They thought it was another false alarm. 2 cops had left 2 hours ago because of a false alarm. We went to the Google Earth, like I said. It is a holdup man's dream. A 4-lane highway, multiple exits, interchanges, different cities. Like, I mean...
Quick getaway.
Yeah, quick getaway. There was no picture taken of him, but this is a police officer who has dressed to look like Santa. So this is the actual from the paper. What?
Pretty great. I like that he's posing with the gun.
I also feel like the sketch looks like the Jack Frost character from the Santa Claus movies.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like the evil guy.
Yeah.
The elves at this point were getting nervous because it's already been 11 minutes and that's a long time, you know? I mean, I could do that shit in 8, but you know, whatever. The elves were
11 minutes is a long time.
the elves were getting nervous and said, quote, "Hurry up, you're taking too long."
Oh, those elves are testy.
The Santa then says, quote, "I'm not leaving until I get it all." One elf ran up to the front door and shouted,
The police are coming.
The police arrived. A Dennis Brabant, 30 years old, and a Claude Marino, 34. They were in 2 separate squad cars, and they crouched behind the squad cars because that's what you do, I guess. You know, you've seen it in the movies. And they withdrew their pistols. At this time, Santa's got his sack filled, and he has hostages, but he's making his way outside the bank. And he starts firing on that police car. This is the police car. This is the police car, like the actual one. So you see bullet holes.
Oh, dang.
All in it, you know, like all in here. I mean, I know it's black and white, but that's a bullet hole. Santa comes out and he starts firing. Ho, ho, ho. Now, the whole time, and this is verified by the witnesses, the whole time this guy's in character, which is great.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. You never take me alive, coppers. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. 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 He's firing at the officers. The Santa is determined to kill them. Now, he doesn't have to. There's only 2 there. Remember? Like, they didn't send more reinforcements because they thought it was fake. The entire time he's outside saying, ho, 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 he's in character. The ambulance then arrives.
As the ambulance pulled up from 60 feet from the bank, the bandits opened fire on it. The detonations sent office workers on the second floor scurrying from their desks to the front windows. 3 people standing in the parking area ducked for cover. Bullets tore through the ambulance from the undercarriage to the root. It's a real holdup.
Now, things do get real because this Santa, he is determined to kill these officers. And these officers are behind their cars and they have pistols. They don't have anything other than that. They definitely don't have a submachine gun.
Constable Brabant rushed into the line of fire and a bullet tore into his thigh. He fell between a red truck and a car, groaning. Santa Claus crouched and fired repeatedly at Brabant, shooting underneath the truck, which stood between himself and the constable. Then, as the petrified faces in the windows looked on, he sprang around the truck, stood over the prone policeman, and continued firing. Metal jacketed bullets tore through the officer's body.
They didn't have bulletproof vests. This is 1962. Full Metal Jackets. He is shooting.
Isn't that an album name?
The movie.
It's a movie. Yeah,
Oh.
Full Metal Jacket.
But yeah, I mean, media, you know, movies, music.
It was a reference to something.
So at this point, he is shooting and he's going to kill this officer. Full Metal Jackets. He doesn't have to shoot. The officers were no threat at this point. They were no threat. They have been defeated. There's only 2 of them. They pose no threat to the robbers. Santa, he runs and he jumps into the back of a white Oldsmobile. Now, this is the actual car here. They found it a few miles away, and this is the car.
Oh, damn.
The glass is all shot out. I'm going to tell you why. Santa and an elf, they jump into the Oldsmobile and they start to leave. Now, the other elf actually goes back inside of the bank during the firing, and he escapes out the back of this window. So you see the officers right here. So those are Venetian blinds. He pushes them over. He throws a chair through there, and he comes out this window. You see the chair or whatever he used to break the window, and he got out that way. So he's on foot. One elf, one Santa, they're driving away, and one elf is on foot. Jack Ennis, a security guard that was across the street working at a construction site, he starts running towards the Oldsmobile, and he has a pistol with him, and he unloads the entire clip into the Oldsmobile driving away, which is why the window is shattered out. He didn't hit anyone, but he got the back window out. So at this point, it is now 11:19 a.m. The ambulance is here, even though they were just getting shot at. 11:19. Mr. Sheridan looks at his watch. 11:19. Both officers are dead. Santa kills both officers.
17 minutes.
Executes them. Didn't have to. Could have just let them go, but he stood right over them with a submachine gun and finished them off. And that's not cool. I mean, it's not. You're going to see why. I mean, there's a reason. It's not cool, but there's a reason I say that. You're going to see.
Okay.
The Montreal director of police, Adrian Roberts, said, quote,
I vow to rid society of these determined criminals who have proved that they are not going to hesitate to hold on to their profession of crime. I have ordered my men to shoot on sight.
they offered a $25,000 reward. That's this right here. $25,000.
Wow. It's a lot for them as well.
then.
Yeah.
Well, so they do get a lot of, not not pushback. Everyone wanted these criminals caught, but they were officers. So people, even back in 1962, were like, well, if they weren't officers, would y'all care as much? This is pretty interesting. Back then, a fire truck came, pulled up to the bank, and extended his ladder all the way up. Why do you think they did that? You wanna...
Help the hostages get out?
No, there was no more hostages. No, the hostages were fine. Yeah. So they extended their ladder all the way up to get a bird's eye view because, the guy out the back, they wanted to see where his footprints were. It was snowing.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Which I don't understand. Like, they could just use a drone camera for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1962.
This was the largest manhunt in Quebec. More than 200 cops, 2,500 people questioned. They raided hundreds of underground hideouts, nightclubs, gambling dens, seedy restaurants.
Each night we arrive, the crowds are thinner, observed Detective Doug Stone. Pretty soon there will be nobody around at all, replied a leathery old detective whose face is as similar on the mane as French fried potatoes. The people who make their living from the night spots are a hell of a lot sorer at the Santa Claus gang than they are at us.
The Maine, which is the street in Quebec, a quote gaudy strip of cheap theaters, nightclubs, taverns, and pool rooms. It was downtown Montreal, harbors the biggest concentration of criminals in the nation.
Career criminals were brought in, one detective told media about a man who was sent in for armed robbery. He's been out a couple months now. I was told he's on the booze and goofballs. He can use a machine gun too. See?
All right, what's a goofball, Jen?
It is a
goofball.
mix of barbiturates.
So this is the post from the paper at the time. I know it's kind of hard to see, but remember this is 1962. See the beer bottles?
Yeah, different liquor.
And you can see, do you see this hand? So this is like a mobster with his arms out.
Yeah.
Getting frisked. So this is from the paper back then. Kind of cool.
Yeah, the art back then was cool.
As I said, there's a $25,000 reward. And the Montreal Police Chief Inspector William Fitzpatrick said this about being cops.
Montreal Police Inspector William Fitzpatrick said, some people are saying we wouldn't be trying so hard to catch the Santa Claus gang if their victims hadn't been policemen, said Chief Inspector Fitzpatrick. It goes deeper than that. The St. Laurent case was the most savage act I have ever encountered. After they were hit, the officers were not impeding their escape. The bank robbers had nothing against them personally, yet one of them went back and kept firing at them until he was satisfied they were dead. If they get away with it, the city becomes a jungle. Executed, defenseless.
Local gangsters agreed. A local kingpin says the following.
Only dogs would do a thing like that. They'll get no protection from us. I promise you. If we find out who they are, we'll turn them over to you.
That was my French accent.
Wow.
French kissing my cousin accent. Wait, what the fuck? Okay.
Yes, indeed it was.
So the first lead is the car. They found the car. It had $79,000 worth of bonds in it, which were traceable, so they left them. The police sketch was out. I showed you the sketch, and they were most interested in the Santa suit because it was top quality.
The Santa costume gave the impression of being tailored to the bandit's frame, said the lead investigator, Inspector Huell. The killer is a vain man concerned with his appearance.
Now, the third elf slipped out the window. He actually goes to the Nation Motel, and he asked the receptionist, quote, may I use your telephone? He says it politely. Soon after, a truck pulls up. He gets in the truck and he leaves. Now, this truck was actually a random occurrence. So the truck driver was a long haul trucker, didn't actually know the guy, and they actually went past the bank. They went past the bank because the truck driver's like, man, there must be some kind of accident or something. And the guy agreed, yeah, I don't know what's going on. They drove past the bank. Anyway, right after they get past the bank, the robber immediately asked to get out. 1 week later.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Joby had to do the science and I'm angry.
1 week later. Okay, we're wrapping this up. Julius Reeve, 30 years old. He was living at 3421 Hochelaga Street. He was drinking whiskey. The room he rented was in the attic area, and it's kind of like a frog, I guess. But he's sitting there drinking whiskey, and he was doing goofballs. Which he was doing goofballs, yeah. And a
that's like the earlier version of the speedball.
Yeah, it is, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good job, Niquise.
I mean, I'd prefer to do a speedball, but, whatever. He's drinking whiskey, a janitor walks in, and the janitor hears a loud thump in the attic. This guy falls over. He's not dead, but he had a stroke. He's rushed to the Notre Dame health facility. A blood clot was in his brain.
The man was discovered to have a blood clot on the brain brain, the result apparently of excessive consumption of goofballs. He was partially paralyzed and totally speechless.
You gotta stay away from them goofballs, Jen. In his pocket was $1,297 in cash. Now that's a lot. Now remember, that's a lot for back then. It's 1962. So they were really curious about where they got that money from, since literally a block away, a bank was just robbed. Another man showed up claiming to be this guy's brother, says that he demands this money. So the cops were involved. That guy leaves, but the man, which is Julius Reeve, he's still in the hospital. The cops show up. They look at the money. The serial numbers match those of the bank. So they know that he was one of the elves, not the Santa.
Okay.
He refused to cooperate, but eventually we do get all three. All right. So
Ooh.
Oh.
on Friday, January 11th, so after Christmas, this happened on the 14th. So not
Almost
even
a month
30
late.
not even
Yeah.
30 days later, a man called the chief of police saying that he had information. This man was a married man, and he said the following.
He was a married man, but had become involved with another man in a relationship which had homosexual overtones. This man and two others had proposed that the informer join them in a holdup. But meanwhile, his wife had learned of the relationship and demanded that he choose between her and the homosexual. He returned to his wife and was now making a final break from the three men by telling police what he knew.
That's not good. So he's a snitch. This is the guy that's in the hospital. I'll put all these photos on talkmurder.com. You can go here. This is Julius Reeves, and this is the guy that was ratted out to the police. That guy is going to rat out the Santa Claus, which is Georges Marcotte right here. That's the Santa Claus. So he's going to rat out him. Who are the men? Demanded the officers. One you have already. Jules Reeves. Reeves was the paralyzed man under guard in the hospital. The others are George Marquette and Jean-Paul Fournet. George Marquette was knocked off the list at first because he, quote, from the police, quote, wasn't the submachine gun type. So what they did when they looking for these criminals initially is they went through all the, recent parolees and people that got out, people that would use a submachine gun. This guy was just known as a quote, pistol man. So you have George Marcotte, 35 years old, Santa, and the one that killed the two officers, career criminal. He was friends with Jean Fournet, the one that was the homosexual that was called about. They both were released a few weeks before the crime. He was the one with the Santa with a submachine gun. He was known as a usual, quote, pistol guy. Fournet, 39 years old, was the window elf. He's the one that jumped out the window. He was a career criminal. The jailers actually joked about his in and out stays in the prison, that the guy had his own keys made because he was so in and out of prison. He was also identified by the receptionist at the hotel. So at this point, we got them all. The trial, February 1963. Claude Mornay, he was charged with murder.
He cut a stylish figure in the court, slicked back hair coiffed into a wave with thick-framed Buddy Holly glasses and a thin pencil mustache, made him look like a stereotypical jazz fan from the music clubs.
So this is him right here. I'll put all these photos on talkmurder.com.
I had like two different songs going in my head at the same time. And
Jen, can you... Did you even listen?
I am.
All right.
Because he looked like Buddy Holly, but then he also had, wish I had a pencil thin mustache, boss and backhead kind.
All right.
Two round Ricky Ricardo glasses and
All right, let's finish this up. So
Good old Jimmy Buffett.
yeah.
the trial, which was a trial, we're talking about the one guy that murdered two officers, Marquette. 12 days. Nos trovons la cause culpable, Foreman Roger Gagnon said, which means in France, we find the accused guilty. And each juror repeated his finding in turn is culpable. Now, for now, he snitched on Marco, so he was actually knifed in the back 5 times with a letter opener at the Stony Mountain Penitentiary. Now, a little bit about the officers that were killed. Claude, one of the officers, wasn't actually supposed to be at work at the day. It was his day off because tomorrow was his daughter's 10th birthday. He had 3 children. He was actually best friends with the other officer, Dennis Brabant. They were best friends. They both individually had 3 children of their own, so they always hung out. Claude responded to the scene because he wasn't even supposed to really be on that route at the time, but he responded there because he was actually born in the same plot of land. That bank wasn't a bank when he was born. It was a farmhouse, and he was born in there, so it's kind of like to his heart. So he died right where he was born, basically. But pretty sad. Marco went to the death penalty, but there was some mistrial. This is Canada, so he was basically given doing 20 years. He got out and he continued to rob banks until he was over 50 years old. He continued robbing banks in Canada. And
It's a career.
they all pretty much died after doing some jail sentencing, but I think the last one died in 2015, and that was Marco. He was like 80 years old, and he tried to cash out, write books and stuff like that about it. But anyway, that's the story. Pretty sad, or pretty crazy story. Santa, the Ho Holdup. Anyway, that's all I got, and until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.